everyone, and welcome back to The Dial, where we make the unattainable attainable. I just got to say thank you so much for the support on episode 1 and 2. We really appreciate the love, and we're just trying to grow the watch enthusiasts in South Africa. So without further ado, I wanted to just bring you a solo video today because we have to talk about watches and wonders. Now, what is Watches and Wonders, Yanko? Well, I'll tell you. Watches and Wonders is a watch environment where the top brands and companies around the world come under one roof to identify and promote their watches to potential buyers, investors, and grey market sellers. Think Rolex, think Audemars Piguet, think Piaget under one roof. So it's essentially everything watches with innovations of new ways of watchmaking and the advancement of watch technology. Now, this happened in the middle of April. I think it's between April 13 to 15. So today I'm going to take you through the most interesting watches that was seen at Watches and Wonders. Let's get started with the biggest brand of all. We all know him, we all love him, Rolex. Rolex had a couple of nice watches this year. I would personally think that they were pretty mid, but there is one potential watch that really stood out for me, and that is the Rolex Perpetual 1908. Now, this watch is inspired by the first Rolex watches ever produced with a perpetual rotor. Now, this watch was newly released, as it was actually released last year, and is a reinterpretation of a traditional horological style, as well as it magnifies the aesthetic range of an actual Rolex. Now, the 1908 year is a very, very important year. Why? Because Hans Wilndorf, the founder of the beloved watch brand we know and love, devised the name Rolex to signify his creation and registered the brand in Switzerland. Now, this watch comes in a 39mm case with a transparent back that will allow for beauty of its movement to be admired, along with the movement caliber 7140, which supports a self-winding system. Now, this watch was released in a matte brown alligator strap with a double folding clasp for a comfortable fit. This dial comes in a beautiful, almost ice-like blue color with textured patterns to increase its depth. This watch also presents a super chronometer redefined by Rolex in 2015, where it reads -2 to +2 seconds per day. So you'll always realize that this watch is always on time.
This episode of the Dowal podcast is sponsored by Eclectic Fragrance, organic luxury at its finest. New one coming soon.
Now, how much, Yanko, is the Rolex Perpetual 1908? $23,000. Not rands. But in rands, that will be 400,000 rand. So, predicting this new Rolex 1908, like I said, there was an old Rolex that was released last year that was going for 400,000. This year, I probably should predict that it's probably going to be around 25,000 to 30,000 US dollars, or 465,000 to 565,000 rand. Now, I could be off, guys. Please don't kill me. All right, second watch. Lange and Sohne. I like to call them the Mercedes-Benz of watchmaking. Why? Well, because they're from Germany, and their watches kind of remind me of Mercedes-Benz, the sheer class of it all. Now, the watch in question is the Lange and Sohne Datograph Perpetual Tourbillon Honey Gold Lumen. Now, I won't lie, I'm a sucker for some good lumen on a watch. So, Lange and Sohne did not disappoint this year, let me tell you. Now, this watch, a bit of history, was introduced to the world in 2016 and occupies a preeminent position in precision watchmaking. The watch earns its name through the use of a semi-transparent dial, hence lumen, which allows you to see some of the inner workings of its movement. And boy, is it beautiful. Lange even put its name on the loom, on the date wheels, which are typically hidden. It also boasts an up-down power reserve function, absolute class, we love that. The case is made out of, well, you guessed it, it's in the name, 18 karat honey gold, 18. It has a flyback chronograph, a perpetual calendar where you can read the date, and a tourbillon with a stop-second mechanism, and that all comes together in a 41.5 millimeter case. Now, it comes in a stylish brown strap that you can easily wear to any function where you will be easily the coolest in the room. Now, this elegant watch comes limited to only 50 pieces, so most of us ain't getting it. But if you're one of the lucky ones, it will run you 620,000 US dollars if you really like it. Or if you're poor like us, 11.7 million rand. Good luck. Now, let's move on to one of my favorite watch brands, Patek Philippe. What did Patek Philippe cook up? This Watches and Wonders. Well, the one that stood out to me is the Patek Philippe Ellipse 5738 1R. Now, I think that the Patek Philippe Ellipse will never go out of style. I find it such a beautiful and elegant kind of watch. And this Ellipse has actually come with its first bracelet. The watch comes with a sunburst ebony black dial with a baton type hour marker and slim cheval type hands in rose gold. This all comes encompassed in a 39.5 millimeter case with a solid case back, so I guess you can't see the movement. Now, at first glance, the watch may look too simple for some. It may look, I don't kind of like it. But this Patek Philippe has amazing history. It was developed and released in the 1970s and increasingly became popular through the years. Now, this watch is known to adorn the wrist of very, very influential people, including, guess what? One Princess Diana. Princess Diana wore the watch. There's actually an iconic photo where she's pictured wearing two watches, one being the Patek Philippe Ellipse and the other an Omega. The story goes that she wore those two watches, the Omega being Princess Charles' watch, when she would watch Prince Charles play polo. Now, Princess Diana really popularized the fashion of Patek Philippe, especially in the royal family. And I think watches and people make the watches. And I feel like the Ellipse has so much lore to its name simply because of her elegance. Even the late Queen Elizabeth II was seen wearing an Ellipse. So all this history in the Ellipse helps to stamp its influence in the watch world. Now, how much is the Patek Philippe 5738 1R? Well, you can find one going around 60,000 US dollars or 1.2 million rand. Tag Heuer. Tag Heuer Carrera Skipper Gold. That's probably my favorite watch right now. I think they really have made a turnaround, especially considering the Tag Heuer from old, where they would produce meh watches over the years, releasing the Carrera, the Monaco, the list goes on. I feel like Tag is kind of making their way back into the watch market. In fact, they are back, and they're here to stay. I think what Frédéric Arnault, the former CEO of Tag Heuer, did for the watch ever since he took over in 2020 will never go unmentioned. He really made us fall in love with Tag Heuer again, and he really brought back respect to that name. And let's hope Tag Heuer will continue under its new streak or under its new CEO, but we'll discuss more on that CEO later. Now, the Tag Heuer Carrera Skipper Gold. Now, like its name, the Tag Heuer Carrera Skipper invokes a feeling of a captain's armband in a soccer game or a football game, the way it's usually said. It actually infers leadership and credentials. And you can even look at the watch. It speaks leadership. It speaks CEO. Now, the watch was released in 1963, but it has history that goes back before that year. Why do I say that? Well, the watch Carrera has ties to endurance racing. The Carrera Panamericana was a border-to-border sedan racing event on the open roads of Mexico. It's believed to have started in 1950. So, in 1963, Heuer introduced a chronograph named after the race, Carrera Panamericana. And you can say the rest is history. So, now that we know about the history of the watch, let's delve into the actual watch. Now, the dial comes in a circular brush blue color and that is to die for. Also, if you're a bit of a car fan like myself, you can actually subtly see that the dial and its chronograph design, the hour markers, are all kind of made to resemble a Porsche 911 Carrera dashboard speedometer. So I think maybe they might have gotten some influence. It comes in a modest 39mm case that is covered in fine, brushed, polished gold. It has water resistance of 100 meters, so you can definitely swim with it, and a solid rose gold case back with a date reader on the 6 o'clock hour mark. And the bezel is connected to a simple but elegant blue fabric with a pin buckle. I think Tag Heuer, and especially the Tag Heuer for me, being my opinion, will always be one of my favorites. I don't think it'll ever go out of style. Now, how much is the Tag Heuer Carrera Skipper Gold going for? 24,000. Well, that's the one I researched. 24,000. So it's probably going to be around your 450,000 rand. Let's move on to Zenith. Zenith? Have you ever heard of Zenith? I'm pretty sure you haven't, but let me tell you, Zenith is important to the history of watches, specifically the Defi revival, A3648D. Ooh, it's a bit of a long one, but I have to admit, I wish I knew about the Zenith brand earlier. I must confess, I'm a bit of a newcomer to this watch brand, but I'm enjoying everything that I see these days. To being a new guy in this vast watch world, Zenith strikes me as a brand that is here to innovate and here to stay. But I actually think that Zenith is underrated. But this new watch is actually speaking color and volume in a tasteful way. What do I mean? Well, the name of this watch clearly explains what it's about. It's about Defi revival. This watch is a one-of-one creation of an original Zenith diver from 1969. It has a 37mm diameter stainless steel case with a power reserve of 50 hours that is powered by its movement, called the Elite 670. The dial is orange. It's very orange, but it has a beautiful black in the middle of the with its hour, minutes, and seconds showing through the orange accents and the orange hands. Now, this watch has a lot of orange. Even its rotating bezel has orange. This collectible item comes on a 5-link steel bracelet with the crown of the watch untraditionally but creatively placed near the bottom of the bezel by the 4 to 5 o'clock hour mark. It has a subtle date near the date reader, also at the 4 to 5 o'clock hour mark. Now, Zenith is an important brand, like I said already. It's important for actually producing quality movement, and it is known that Zenith used to supply, yes, the king of watches, Rolex. Zenith used to supply chronograph movements to Rolex, for Rolex to modify them to fit them to their Daytona from 1988 to 2000. And upon more research, it's actually said that one of the reasons why Zenith, the company, survived was because of that contract that they had with Rolex to produce their movements. And apparently, it's one of the most lucrative deals in the history of Swiss watchmaking. Funny thing about it is the CEO of Zenith, Julian Tornare, hope I'm saying your name right, mate, is going to become the new CEO of the brand that we discussed moments ago, Tag Heuer. So we shall definitely keep an eye on what Zenith has planned, but Zenith, I love you. How much is the Zenith Defi Revival? A3648D. They really need to come up with a simpler name. Okay, so you can find one on Chrono24 for $19,000, or if you're poor like us, again, 350,000 rand. Now, Parmigiani Fleurier. Yeah. Now, these names are crazy, eh? These Parmigiani Fleurier Tariq Petit Seconde. This is a new watch brand. It's a young watch brand that started in 1966 by gaining worldwide recognition in 2023, which it was considered by watch enthusiasts to be a mega year for the brand Parmigiani. They headlined the Tonda PF, this is last year, to cement its fame, and it is worn by His Royal Highness King Charles, and it is known as King Charles's favorite watchmaker. And the monarch's go-to Tariq received that revamp of that year. So Parmigiani, the king likes it, so it definitely has some clout. The Dowal is a beautiful sand gold color with hand-grained finishing. It comes in an 18 karat rose gold 40.6 millimeter case with an anti-reflective sapphire. The strap is an alligator material with an uncommon greenish color that surprisingly doesn't look out of place with the overall aesthetics of the watch. Now, in my personal opinion, I'm not really a fan of the Tariq this year. I'm not really a fan, but putting personal biases aside, I really love what Parmigiani Fleurier are actually doing to promote to the younger generation. I so often go to the Instagram page and I see them promoting to young people. And it's so important that we get young people involved in the watch industry. And I feel like their marketing strategy is really refreshing, and they sort of make me feel a part of the brand, even though I don't own one. So, how much is the Parmigiani Fleurier Tariq Petit Second? This watch will run you 54,000 US dollars or 1 million rand. Cartier. Everyone knows Cartier. Let's talk about the Cartier Tour time only. I'm not French, guys. I have to confess that I misunderstood Cartier for a very long time. And I guess maybe it was because of, the things that I was seeing people do with Cartier, especially the people who would bedazzle them all over with diamonds, aftermarket diamonds, especially in rap culture. I would see Cartier as, it's just that brand that loves diamonds. But I didn't realize that Cartier is a very, very serious jewelry and watch brand. But nowadays, I find myself loving the Cartier Santos. Yeah, Cartier Santos. You can't go wrong with it. Now, the Cartier Tour time only was released in 1912. By the 1920s, Cartier started adding complications like a minute repeater and a mono pusher to its design. Now, the name Tortue in French means tortoise. In English, which means resembles the shape of the watch. So if you actually see the watch, you'll see that it's sort of shaped like a tortoise. Now, for 2024, Cartier brought back parts of its history in a collection of limited edition or limited to 200 numbered pieces in metal platinum or yellow gold. So again, we're not getting it. Most of you aren't. Now, as mentioned, the watch comes in an 18K yellow gold, metal platinum, and apparently even a diamond set platinum version, limited to 50 pieces. Now, my favorite part of the watch is the simple yet sophisticated dial, which shows the Roman numeral hour markers we all know and love from Cartier, as well as a simply designed white colored dial. Look, if it's not broken, don't fix it. This brand actually started growing on me a bit. Do I completely like the watch? Nah, my personal opinion, I don't find the shape conventional. I mean, it's a bit too unconventional for me. But who knows? Maybe this one, like the Santos Cartier, will grow on me. Now, how much is the Cartier Tortue time only? Well, the one that I'm finding on Chrono 24 is going around 40,000 US dollars or 756,000 rand. IWC, International Watch Company. IWC Portuguese Perpetual Calendar. Now, I'm a sucker for a Portuguese. I know why IWC's cashing in on the Portuguese, because every watch person loves a Portuguese. But can you blame them? How can you not love the watch? The first time I ever spotted a IWC Portuguese was in an F1 commercial. I think it was a few years back, and Lewis Hamilton was wearing, I believe it was a turquoise Portuguese. I'm not so sure. We'll try and research that. But I think from that point on, I immediately fell in love with the watch. Now in 2024, they've introduced a perpetual calendar. Now, the IWC Portuguese was the first watch to be introduced in the late 1930s because of the big demand of watches. Yes, guess where? Portugal, hence Portuguese. The interesting part about it, though, is that the first Portuguese was actually sent to a Ukrainian watch dealer in Odessa. Only 3 years later, where the first Portuguese wristwatch was finally delivered to Portugal. Now, the Dowal is a stealthy obsidian color complemented by an 18-karat armor gold case. The hour marks, as well as the complications, are in gold that suits the black so well. It comes with an alligator strap. For me personally, I feel like it's a fairly big watch because the case is 44 millimeters and it has a glass back and see-through sapphire, which is a really nice touch. The watch complication shows the 9 o'clock hour mark, the months on the 6 o'clock hour mark, the days on the 3 o'clock, and the moon phase on the 12 o'clock hour mark. Now, this Portuguese is, of course, expensive. Watches are expensive. This will run you around $1 million or 24,000. Sorry, did I? No, 1 million rand, 24,000 US dollars. Yeah. If I'm wrong, listen, it is what it is. Tudor. Let's talk about Tudor. Tudor Black Bay 58. Now, Tudor, the brand, is known as the sister company to Rolex. So Rolex is little sister. Now, Tudor will always be a brand that is very close to my heart because, I have a watch that is similar to the Black Bay 58. Now, look, I can't afford a Black Bay 58. I'm just a normal guy. But I love what the Timex watch Harborside Coast did when they were trying to, pay homage to the Black Bay 58. Now, the Tudor Black Bay 58, we're actually talking about the Coke one. Well, they call it the GMT Coke because it's actually the colors of the Coca-Cola logo, black and red. So speaking of the Coke, it's released in, of course, like I said, black and red. And it was released in 2018 at the Basel World and has been iterated since then. So they just, put in a new color that was in demand. The Dowal is a classic 39mm case, which is perfect size for my arms. It comes again with a GMT function, so you're able to keep 2 time zones. So if you're one that loves to travel and you want to see what time it is at home, want to see what time it is where your family is staying, you'll be able to do that. The strap comes in a rubber strap or an oyster-like bracelet. For me personally, I will always love a Tudor in a rubber strap. It comes with a date reader at the 3 o'clock. But I do feel like the bezel color, well, the red and the black, I feel like they're a bit too subdued. I would have liked the red and black to be a little bit brighter. But either than that, it's hard to find any glaring, things that you don't like about the watch. Now, how much is the Tudor Black Bay 58 GMT Coke? Well, the retail price I found is going for 4,500 US dollars or 85,000 rand. Amaze. And this is the last one. The Amaze Aku du Atal. Now, Amaze, when you think about it, you think about fashion or you think about bags. But they actually make watches, and this is a very beautiful watch. The dial is a sapphire dome that tops a triple-axis tourbillon. It is clear viewing experience with the tourbillon as the centerpiece. Now, around it, you can actually see the respective hour markers in a very classy font. There are actually 2 iterations to this watch. There's one in black with a simple black strap, and a one with gold casing with a blue base with the actual dial being white. But I feel like you can't go wrong with any of these. Now, the watch just stands out as something that I don't think you're meant to look at the time, but I think you're just meant to appreciate the craftsmanship. It's relatively uncomplicated in its design, but it's actually easy on the eyes and retains attention. The watch is medium to big size with a 43mm case diameter, But that's okay because the diameter is the perfect amount of window for your eyes to peer inside and gaze at that beautiful complication. And guys, trust me, that tourbillon is beautiful. Did I mention that this watch comes with a minute repeater? It chimes the hours, quarters, minutes, and the minute repeater hammers themselves are sculpted in the shape of a horse. So where the minute repeater hits the dial, they're shaped as a horse. A horse being an integral part of the Hermes logo, because when you think of Hermes, you think of the horse. Now, how much is the Hermes Accord du Étal? I couldn't find any price on it, but if I were to put a prediction, I would say maybe nothing less than $65, 65,000 US dollars, or 1.2 million rand. And that's all from me. But Watches and Wonders this year was pretty good. Also, comment down below which watch you liked from Watches and Wonders and share it with us. We'd love to hear your comments. See you in the next video. And as always, stay on the watch.